Hello everyone, today we will look at the most important tool for every developer. We will look at the methods. First, let's look at the definition. Method is a block of code that performs a specific task or action. You can think of it as a function inside a class. When we create new project, IntelliJ automatically generate for us the file main, and inside main it creates the class main and this strange construction. And this construction is actually very first method of the application. So in this way, we used to work with the method in all the previous lessons because our code came between those curly braces. Normally, we don't have to use the very first method because this method has a specific purpose, and this is actually the method that runs our application. But if we need to write some code or create our application, we have to separate our logic in the different blockchains or methods. So let's look at the method construction and try to build our first method. So it starts with the public keyword, which is access modifier. We will discuss a little bit later in the course. Then it follows with a static. We have already covered what actually static is. If you missed the lesson, here the link. Then it follows with the void, and this is return type. It means that the method doesn't return nothing. I'll explain it in the moment a little bit more in the details. And then it follows with the name. After the name, every method must have the parentheses, and it's something comes between the parentheses or not. I'll explain also in the moment. And then it opens and closes the curly braces where the method's body should come in. Before we create our first method, we have to know that the methods are owned by the class, so every class must to have access to the method inside these curly braces. So the method is actually separate unit. We can't define new method in the inside already existing method. So let's just shadow our main method and write the access modifier public. Let's make it static, void, and let's name it first method. Open and close parentheses. Let's just keep it, let's leave it empty for the moment, and the curly braces. And this is actually how method looks like. And let's print our statement from this method so we know it works. Hello from the first method. Let's run. And you can see that nothing is printed. This is because Java looks, after we run in the application, it looks for the main method, and you can see here the icon for running the application. So the Java looks for the main class and for the main method to start every application. So without this method, as I said, that it has a specific purpose, and this is the purpose to actually run application. And when Java looks at the main method, it just find here nothing. So our main method doesn't know about the first method existence, and that's why nothing is printed to console. And to make and you can see also that this first method is gray, and first method is never used. And to make our application print the body of this method, we have to access it from the main method. So we can do it this way. So we don't need to write system out print line, because it's already written in the method, and we just call the method with the name and the parentheses. So let's try it now. And as you can see, the statement now is printed, and the name of our first method became the blue, so which means that it's in use. Let's continue analyzing our main method, and here you can see that between the parentheses it has some string array args, and this is something we call the parameters. So every method can accept the parameters to work with. And let's extend our first method to have some parameters. It can have actually multiple parameters, so it can be, for example, int a and int b. And let's refactor, for example, a is a and b is b. And here you can see that our first method in the main call became red because it's expected 2 arguments but found 0. So we have to pass here int a and int b. So let's create some int number 1, for example, and let's make it 5. Int number 2, let's make it 7. And let's pass those number 1 and number 2 as the parameters for our method. So now let's print. And as you can see, a is 5 and b is 7 is printed because our first method accepts int a, which is number 1. So we pass number 1 with the value of 5 as a first parameter, and as int b we passed the number 2. So the order is very important for the method, so it reads the parameters in the corresponding order. So if we swipe, for example, the number 1 and the number 2, we'll swipe the order and run it. You can see that a now became 7 because as the a parameter passed the number 2. So everything you pass as a parameter, for example, as a first parameter as an int a, every integer you will pass here on the first place takes the form of int a. So the first method don't know about the number 2 or number 1, it knows about the int a. So number 2 here took the form of a. And let's just delete this method and everything here, and let's play with some calculations. So let's make int a equals 5, int b 7, int c, and let's leave it undefined for the moment. And let's create new method, public static void calculate int a, int b, and let's make int result a plus b. So how we can get the result of our calculation? So we can simply do print result and call our method in the main method. So calculate ab, and let's print, and the result is 12 from our calculate method. But let's move on another level of our skills and assume that we need to get this result into our C variable. So how we can achieve this? We can, of course, do something really stupid like A plus B. Sorry, not stupid, but simple. But what if we want to get the result of calculation from our method? We can simply do int C and assign it with the result of our calculate method. But currently we can see that the calculate is underlined with the red because required type is int and provided is void. And here is actually where return type comes in. So the void method actually executes the body and not return any result. So this is the execution of the block of code without any result. And this is useful for such situations like printing something or execute the logic that doesn't require any result. But if we want our calculate method return result and assign it to our C variable, we have to change the return type. And to do this, we have to replace our void, which indicates that the method is not returning nothing. We have to replace it with simply the data type we wanna get. So instead of void, let's make it int. And now you can see that we don't have the mistake here, and our int is assigned with the calculate A and B. So let's here remove our print statement, and actually every method that have a return type must return this type back. So if we define in the method with the int data type, we have to return int. And to do this, we have to actually IntelliJ helps us return result. So that every method having data type have to return the result with this data type. So if we write here string, first of all, our assigning to C won't work because we trying to get int but getting string back, and we can return here text like hello. Okay, so let's just test our C and look if it works as we expecting. And here you can see the 12 is returned. So let's again look what actually we did here. We defined the A and the B variables, assign it with the 5 and 7 values. Then we define the C and assign it with the result. So with this line of method calculate. So we pass at the first parameter our A, which is 5. As a B we pass 7. Then we call the calculate method that inside its body created new variable result, which is A plus B, and then it return this result back. And here we've got our C equals 12. So this is actually how the methods with the return type works. So from now we will try to use the methods always with some data type, because we want to get some result and not just void to print it to console, because in the programming we have to work with the data instead of printing them. And let me show you last example how methods can be useful. So let me just remove all of this and let's create array of integers with the numbers, and let's make it 1, 5, 14, just random values. right? And let's create the method public static. Let's make it string now and call it calculate array. And our method, as you can guess, will accept the array. And here we will define the result. And as I'm using the IntelliJ Ultimate, this is a clever version and it exactly suggests me what I want to do. So it suggests me to define the result with 0 and the for loop, which can actually be replaced with for each, and collect all the values of our array to our result. And let's return result and result. And here we will do print our calculate array and pass numbers as parameter. And let's run it. And here you can see result is printed. So it can be useful when we have to execute the big piece of code, and it's better for readability and for actually handling your application to separate it into the separate blockchains or methods. And that's it for methods for now. And if you like this video, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel. And actually, if you want me to explain some topics, you can write in the comments and I'll try to write the new videos about the features you want to know. But for now, see you in the next lesson.